Let your imagination soar with Audible. With stories across every genre, from expert advice to fantasy, you'll be inspired to imagine new worlds, possibilities, and ways of thinking. Listening can even lead to a positive change in your mood, habits, and overall well-being. As an Audible member, you'll get to choose one title a month to keep from their entire catalog, including bestsellers and new releases. Allow yourself to delve into the spooky this season by listening to classics like Stephen King's The Shining and Pet Sematary. There's more to imagine when you listen. New members can try Audible free for 30 days. Visit audible.com/imagine or text imagine to 500-500. That's audible.com/imagine or text imagine to 500-500.
Hey, Prime members! Have you heard? You can listen to your favorite podcasts ad-free? Good news! With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free-podcast. That's amazon.com/ad-free-podcast to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Hi, everybody. It's Hannah Conda, and welcome back to another glorious episode of What's Lust Got to Do with It. Honestly, I feel like by this point we should actually just record the song. I think it would be a lot easier for my beautiful editors all the way in the UK. Hello, team. But nonetheless, we don't have a theme song yet. Maybe it will come at some point if this is successful. So please make sure you put your little earbuds into your little ear holes and listen to What's Lust Got to Do with It, a podcast where I explore loss and all of its myriad facets. My love letter to being a professional runner-up in reality television. And I feel like that makes me pretty much a professional at being able to talk about loss in all of its facets. So anyway, we're here. It's another week. Things have changed for me since the last time we've caught up. I'm actually now an Entertainer of the Year. I have won an award. Yes! The Sydney Divas happened and I won Entertainer of the Year for 2024, which is glorious. This is it. So proof is in the pudding. I can't win Drag Race, but I can win a Diva Award. I dropped it. And it's glass, so I've already smashed it, which is interesting and quite poignant considering on the Diva Awards it was quite a controversial evening and there was some fracturing of the community. So my award represents the night that was. But I think with all small fractures and chips, they can be repaired, So I have faith that the Sydney drag community will once again come together and find common ground. I think that's what I've learnt over my years is that for Australian drag and New Zealand drag, we're very resilient. And when things go a little bit awry and there's a mess, we always come back together. We clean it up. It's like when you have like a party and shit gets wild, and there's mess everywhere. We all band together to clean up the mess and we come back and everything is put back together better and more fabulous. So I'm sure that everything is going to get better. But it brings me to what I want to talk about today, and that is opinions. And I look, this is an opinion piece. It's an opinion on opinions. And opinions, as we all know, are like assholes. It's a very common phrase. Opinions are like assholes. Everyone's got them. Some of them stink. Some of them are clean. Some of them are, pristine. Some of them are absolutely, covered in shit. And I just have kind of learnt that, we all have opinions on everything. Everyone, it's a human right. It's a natural thing for humans to have opinions on things. And we can discuss them. We can talk about them. Your opinions can change. Your opinions can grow. Your opinions can be swayed. You can have a full 180 and you can turn around an opinion on something that you've had previously, because that's what we're allowed to do as human beings. But I am so sick to fucking death of people forcing their opinions like it's an actual fact. I'm sorry, darling. Your opinion is not a fact. Your opinion is an opinion. A fact is a fact. A fact is a fact because it actually happened. It is something that is real. Your opinion is your idea and your perception of what has occurred. And if you have an opinion on something and the situation doesn't require you to insert your opinion or your idea, sit the fuck down and shut the fuck up, bitch, because we don't need it right now. I think we all need to learn when it's appropriate to share said opinion and when it's okay to lean into something so heavily. And if you're starting to look like an absolute dick, maybe it's time to reassess how you go about sharing your opinions, because it only makes you look like a wanker. And I don't want people to look like wankers. I want everyone to get along. I'm the girl from Mean Girls that's like, I just want sunflowers and rainbows and everyone to just get along. That's me. So I'm giving you advice. If you feel like your opinion is not wanted, don't inject it. You don't need to do that. Keep it to yourself. Write it down. Think about it. Put it in a jar and save it and see if it's actually worth anything later on. Because maybe it is, and that's fine. And then you can share it. But at the time, in a heated situation, and there's enough people in the situation to make it a really explosive scenario, maybe that's not the time to get up and say your 2 cents. So sit down and shut the fuck up. So that is my advice to you all, is that, really understand what an opinion is. And also, quickly, side note, if someone disagrees with you and has a different opinion, that's their right. They're allowed to do it. We don't have to get along with them. If everyone was a monolith, how boring would life be? So maybe explore something, because you could find common ground with someone that has a differing opinion of you, and you could make something magical, because there's got to be 2 sides to every coin. Everyone. Okay. So that's all I'm saying. That is it for me before I invite my guest in. I'm very, very excited for this one. This is my sister from RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under Season 2. She is an absolute superstar. I won't blow smoke up her ass while she's not here. I want to do it in front of her so I can, bank it and one day go, remember when I said all those nice things about you? Be a good friend, bitch. So I'm going to have a break and we'll be back with my very, very special guest right after this. Welcome back, everybody, to What's Lost Got to Do With It. I am so excited to welcome my absolute special guest. She is the winner of RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under Season 2, making her my queen from my season. She is the winner of House of Drag Season 2, and she's currently starring on Celebrity Treasure Island in New Zealand. Please give it up for the incredible Spankie Jackzon! It's Spankie Mother Tucker in the house tonight. Because I'm gonna win the prize. Oh, Spankie Mother Tucker.
Hi, babes.
As I live and breathe.
How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so glad to see you. And it's been, a while since we've been able to sit down and guest bag.
It's been a little while. I mean, you've been really busy, obviously.
God,
UK versus the world.
Well, so have you.
Traveling the world, doing your
lighting
thing.
fires on an island.
I mean... I wouldn't say lighting them, probably putting them out. But no, it's been so good. And I'm so proud of you. You've done so amazing. So it's so good. It's so nice to be here with you.
Oh, I'm very honoured. And like I said before, I was like, I just want to tell you that you are one of the most incredible, beautiful, absolutely sensational lights of my life. And I love you to absolute bits. So
I love you too, boo.
Bank that, because if I need a favour.
I put it in the savings account.
Well, your savings account must be glorious.
No, it's fucking empty at the moment. I know.
Drag in New Zealand.
Keeping it going. Drag in New Zealand, cost of living.
How's Palmy going?
Yeah, Palmy's good. Like, I'm still living there, obviously. So it's nice to go home. It's nice to leave the craziness and kind of go home back to normality for a little bit. And then... just back to the whānau, you would have learned the whānau as well. You would have learned the whānau, which means family to everybody out there.
It's nice to go home to the whānau and have a shit in your own whāti paku.
Yeah. Hey, well done. Whāti paku means toilet.
It does.
As well.
It does.
So,
and you know why you have to go to the toilet is because sometimes when you're friends, you actually have kai.
well done.
I know. I remember.
Kai
You taught
is
me all
food
this.
as well. So
You taught me all this. This
well
was
done.
like, it's always set in my mind all the words that you taught me.
I love it.
For the multi words.
I know, you've just taken that. You've run with that. I love it.
I love it. It's nice, like when you meet someone from New Zealand and you go,
You can add
Kia
something.
ora.
Totally. You can add something. It's like when I come to Australia and I'm
what
like,
do you
yeah,
say?
mate.
Yeah,
mate,
you
you're right.
fucking cunt.
Literally.
I can say that.
What's up, C-bomb? Yeah, totally.
What's up, C-bomb?
What's up,
Look at you,
C-bomb?
You've been keeping it conservative. You can
no,
swear
fuck
on
it.
this.
Fuck. Oh, can I?
Yeah, you
oh,
can
great.
swear.
Fuck the cunts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love
I
the
just,
C word.
I thought this was a family show. I thought it was for children.
Well,
so,
look, if well, to be honest, some of the people that have kids,
Some
that,
are children, yeah, totally.
But some of the people that do let their kids listen to me, I'm
I mean,
pretty well
that's-
aware of.
I mean,
what
hello.
we do.
I think the same thing as well.
Yeah,
Like
when you
with
work
me.
with kids.
Yeah. Well, I work
Well,
with
you've worked
kids.
with kids for a while. What is the response like parents? Like, because I know that controversially now people go, oh, don't let the gays near the children, which we've seen everywhere.
Yeah.
But you're a shining example of how you can be a very flamboyant and expressive homosexual, comfortable in their own skin, living their best lives, and working with children.
Yeah.
And like, what is like parents' reactions to when they meet you and they're going, this fag's going to be teaching my children how to swim.
Well, they're like, oh my God, that's a fag. No, like, I think initially, like, when I first obviously started working with the kids, when I was working at the pool, none of this was kind of public. This was all before House of Drag. This was all before, you know, Drag Race happened. So the kids would clock me after House of Drag, and it happened because I was in the centerfold of a magazine that went out to all the schools.
When you say centerfold, what were you wearing?
Oh, no, I was, like, in nice clothes, thank God. But it was like,
was there pants?
There were no pants. There were no pants. It was the shortest dress ever. But it went to like all the schools. So of course the kids like came back to work that afternoon and like put the magazine on the table and were like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then they came in and were like, Spankie Jackzon. And I was like, oh my God, the jig is up, you know?
Yeah.
But then, I mean, from House of Drag, like the response was super great. And I'm also, you know, it's not like I'm teaching the kids in drag. So for me, it was like there is a clear separation between this is another part of me and this is another part of me. And you can exist in the same worlds. And of course, like, it's the same thing. It's like, you know, I totally understand. Like, it's such an oxymoron for me to say that because
What did
it's
you
like,
call me?
no, wow. But you know what I mean? Like, it's my drag aesthetic. She is that woman. She's the whore from down the street. You know what I mean? And then you get like the other side of me, which is the Blair side, which is like, you know, I am the heartwarming, like, great with kids. And so is Spankie. Like, but it's also like there's that oxymoron of like people don't think that that's acceptable in society for some reason.
But then you look at some of these kids' parents.
Oh my God, I know, right?
Like,
and you think you should have had a license to have a child in the first place. Like I think the same thing.
And some of the behaviour that I've seen parents have around their children.
I know.
Like, yet we're the problem.
I know. And see, in New Zealand, it's been a really big conversation because we have like an awful person called Brian Tamaki who runs...
Fuck you, Brian.
Yeah, fuck you, Brian. Runs Destiny's Church. And he's taken a really big issue with drag and children in New Zealand. And, you know, I like to remind people as well, it's like there was actually a recent study done where it was done with like abuse through church. And the highest rates of abuse come from the church.
The church, yeah.
And there is not one drag queen in that list, you know.
No.
And so we should be saying to you, keep the fuck away from our children, not us being told to stay away from our children. Because I tell you now, like, I guarantee parents would be more trustworthy with us looking after their kids than you, Mr. Brian. So that's all I have to say about that.
Actually, tell you, my grandma, so my dad's mum is very religious.
Oh, because this was like you being a priest,
Yeah,
right?
so she was the one that really encouraged me to want to go to like the priesthood, and she took me to church all the time. And then recently, I was just talking to my brother about it because they just had Father's Day. So my parents got together with my grandparents and everything, and they were telling them about this story. And so my grandma is still very much into church. She goes to church all the time, very religious. But then she said she started losing faith because she's started hearing stories about priests like being abusive towards children and all these like sexual escapades of priests. And I was like, just hearing about it? Like, you know, because to be fair, a lot of religious people that are really deep, especially older ones, they willfully they live in blissful ignorance, you know, and they turn a blind eye and they don't listen to it. But when it starts, because it's becoming more and more common and public. You know, the Catholic Church can't really hide.
No, you can't.
Their abuses anymore.
No.
So my grandma, she said, I've started losing faith. And then my uncle, who he might listen to this. I don't, probably not. But he took my grandma to Margaret Court. You know, the tennis woman.
Place.
Yeah, she runs a church. And so he took my grandma to Margaret Court's church. And when she got there, like Margaret was doing like some sermon because like she's a preacher and stuff.
Is she?
Yeah. And so so my grandma was sitting there listening, and she said, if anyone's got ailments or whatever, come up to the front and I'll give you a blessing.
Oh God.
So my grandma gets up, and apparently Margaret touched her, and she went into like the, you know, you've seen the thing. The demons. And she fell down on the ground, and she's like, I don't know what came over me. And she's like, so now my grandma's like converted to like Margaret Court.
No way.
Yeah.
Because wasn't there that controversy, like, where they were going to name some, like, wasn't
There is an arena named like the Margaret Court Arena.
Yeah, but wasn't there a controversy where they were trying to get it renamed or something?
Yeah, I think they wanted to take her name away from it because of her bigotry.
Yeah.
And, like, she went from being this, like, tennis legend to now, like...
A preacher?
Yeah, preacher, like, touching my grandma and making her go nuts.
See, that's the thing for me. Like, that's always the thing that's kind of baffled me with abuse within the church is that for me, like, I have no problem with people of faith. Like,
no, me neither.
absolutely.
And this is not judging my grandma.
No,
but
and there's no judgment here.
No
We
judgment.
love everybody. You believe what you want to believe.
Speak
I
on
believe
it.
what I believe, and that's the end of it. And we can coexist. But for me, like, if I was a person that was in the church, this is what I've always found really strange to me, is that because of the sheer amount of stories, wouldn't that start to make you question your faith, because these are the people you're following?
Yeah.
And then that in your own congregation, like, this is the priest that's been, like, you know, teaching you all of this stuff. But then you blindly are just like, oh, okay, but I continue to believe what this person's told me.
Yeah.
And that's always just been so baffling to me. Like, and my personal opinion is that, like, religion's free. Like, it doesn't cost you anything to believe in anything.
Yeah.
And if you want to
And
believe,
you do
like,
you, boo.
you do you, boo. Like, God, I'm not hating on you, but it seems that religion seems to hate us with a passion. And I think it's more about the fact that it kind of challenges everything that they believe, is we kind of believe the opposite.
Yeah.
But we also live it in a more authentic way, I think.
Yeah. But you know what my favourite part is, though? There are now parts of the church, less Catholic church, more like Christianity, that are finding, like, queer people are being welcomed in.
Totally.
Because I think
It
it's
is-
like...
it is broadening.
Because you're reading a book that is sometimes being taken out of context.
100%.
Things have... like, time has changed. Like,
But it's been,
meant to-
like, rewritten, like, what,
Yeah.
1,000 times or
Yeah, and
something like that?
translated
Yeah,
in different
in
ways,
different
in different languages.
100%.
Things are going to get lost. So, you know,
Absolutely.
I think, like...
I mean, you
able-
get lost in translation quite often.
Mama. I'm just lost, point blank,
Lost,
period,
point
done.
blank, period.
But yeah, it's a fascinating, like, world of religion. But I think, like, you know, there is room for spirituality, and it should be an individual thing. And
I
if you
agree.
find like-minded people, and if that's in a church or whatever, like, amazing.
Yeah, I
but I
agree.
just don't feel like it needs to be, like, I don't think it needs to take away from anyone else. Well, Spankie,
Yes.
now that you're here, what's loss got to do with it has come about because, you know, being a professional runner-up and, you know, going through 32 years of life and going through a myriad of different things, loss is something that comes in so many different ways. Like, you know, I've lost keys, I've lost my favourite toy, I've lost relatives, lost this, lost that. And I like to, you know, explore with people. It can be anything.
Okay.
What is a story of something that you have lost in your life that has had an effect on you?
Oh,
It can be multiple things. When I had Vanity here, she talked about, like, well, she had a list of 6 things.
I can imagine.
And and we went through all 6.
I think for me, like, and people probably wouldn't see this side of me either, but I think that there was a period of time, like, kind of going through the Drag Race Factory, that you kind of lose a little bit of yourself
Yeah.
in the process. And I don't think people kind of register that on the outside, the fans or people that support us, and is that you do go through like a bit of a journey.
Yeah.
And of course, I think for me, like, I only figured this out recently, to be fair, but, like, I don't know if it was the same for you, but when I first started drag, I started drag because, like, you know, I was not perceived to be the attractive, you know, I was tall and gangly and fucking, you know, skinny as a rake, not like...
What happened?
Well, just, I know, right? I fucking ate KFC. Yeah, die, bitch. That'll teach you.
Karma.
Yeah, that'll teach you, bitch. Karma. But, like, I started drag, I think, because it kind of, I was always quite an effeminate person, or, you know.
But it was like the place that the freaks that felt weird.
In
accepted.
our time, this was before that.
Yeah.
You know, before Drag Race existed,
Yeah.
before it was this mainstream thing. And it was underground. Like, it kind of
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And so you found that place where, for me, it was more like I would go and see, like, clothes and shops and things like that. And if you look at a men's section and a girls section,
Yeah.
the color codes are completely
Chalk
different.
and cheese.
It's like khaki, brown, whatever. And I always wanted to wear the girls' clothes because they were sequins or colored or sparkly. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, I just want to wear those clothes. And I was always really flamboyant with my boy clothes. Went through that process. And then, of course, I found drag and, like, found my drag mother and started doing, you know, performing. And it, like, just was that culmination of kind of everything. Like, I was into musical theatre, and it just added, you know, costumes and lights and feathers. And, you know, like, I always worked around the showgirls and stuff like that. And I was like, why can't I have a fucking feather harness? You know what I mean? And so I, like, started there. And then, of course, like, I lived basically my 20s more so as a woman, I suppose.
Yeah,
Because I
in
was
drag.
always in drag.
Yeah.
Always.
Especially when you start, like,
Oh,
And
you love it.
oh,
You're
yeah.
you're
And you wanna
feeling
be in
the
it all
fantasy.
the time.
And
Never want to go out,
100
not in drag.
Never.
Always
Never went out as a
in
boy.
drag.
Never
Yeah.
went out as a boy. And the other thing I loved too was the anonymity that I had. I could go out and be known by everybody as a woman, but I could go out as a boy and not one person would say hello to me.
Oh, people
Wouldn't
that you've
say boo.
known for years, but
100%.
they'd only know you in drag.
Totally.
And you go up and go, hi, and they go, who are you?
Totally. Or my favourite was those cunts who would come up to you and then they'd be like, oh, why aren't you in drag tonight?
Yeah. What? Oh, yeah, yeah. You look so much better
you
in
look
drag.
so much better in drag. And it was comments like that that used to
Always.
fuck with my head, right?
Yeah.
And so when I moved home from like living in Australia for, 12 years, and then Dad got sick and I moved home and like I stopped drag before House of Drag or for Drag Race. And what I discovered was that I found the man in me by going back to discover the boy that grew up in Fielding.
Yeah.
Because I was back in my parents' house, I was back in my hometown, I was in the same environment.
Yeah.
And of course, that 12 years is a long time to be away.
Yeah.
And so I'd kind of, I think a lot of drag queens kind of go to a point, especially when you're younger, you're like, oh, I could turn trans.
Yeah,
like,
you could-
I
you
could,
could,
I
like-
could have quite easily had lived. I've always said, if I had 2 lives, I'd do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think completely differently about it now. And like I'm about to turn 40, so it's like completely different. But then, of course, like you go through that period of like, I started to discover the boy, but not only that, I grew into the man that I always never felt like in my 20s.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So then, of course, like
Because you start accepting and acknowledging the masculinity of us
totally,
because we've got an outlet for the femininity.
Yeah.
And realize they
it's the
can
balance.
coexist.
The balance,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
see, when you're in your 20s, the balance was so off.
Yeah.
It was too off.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like going through discovering that and then even finding myself attractive as a man and being like, you know what? I feel like a man, you know? So then drag didn't become so important to me. But then, of course, it's that thing. There's always the balance. It's the yin and the yang. It always is. It's like one goes up and one comes down and then you have to find that middle ground.
Yeah.
Like I need it for me. I don't know why. It's a chemical imbalance, but I wouldn't be fucking surprised, to be honest. Hello.
Weirdo. with all the chemicals we pumped in ourselves. Let's be real.
Says you. But you know what I mean? And then we went through House of Drag, and that really gave me that confidence again, because that was really like, it was a traumatic period for us as a family. 4 years of that. Stopped,
being
got
sick.
depressed.
Yeah.
I had no friends. I had no world. Like
Especially going somewhere so quiet.
everybody that I grew up with had moved on and had families, and the connection. Like 12 years is a long time. You're not friends anymore.
Yeah.
You don't have anything in common.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the names. Like, it's so true. Like, this is so true. I know, I feel really bad. But, like, people will come up to me and they'll be like, oh, hey, do you remember? And I'm like, no idea. No idea who the fuck you are. But then, of course, we went through Drag Race. And, like, for me, because I had found such a reward in working with the kids, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
I really didn't expect to find something that just felt, it was high stress and I hated every day, but I loved it. Like, I loved those kids like they were my own. And they still, like, they even message me now and are like, oh my God, I can't believe you are our teacher or whatever. And that just brings me so much joy, because it's like, I really did have an effect on those kids.
Yeah.
And then I quit my job 2 weeks before that. And then I went on tour and I did 5 or 6 cities in like 6 days or whatever it was by myself. Then came straight to Sydney. We did it was the finale. It was the finale.
Yeah, it was
And
just
then-
after the season.
yeah,
Like, it was through the season.
That's
it was
right.
happening. Yeah.
And
yeah.
then the finale happened. And then it just smacked. And then we were fucking on the road ever since.
Yeah.
And then I started to get to a point where I was like, not with us. Like, when we traveled as a group, like, we've always had such a good time, and there was always people with us that understood what we were kind of going through. But it's those solo moments.
Yeah. The solo
When you have to pick yourself up, you are tired, you're exhausted, and then the expectation, you got the fandom on top of it.
Because I found it interesting externally watching you is because of how the show created you as almost this like Mother Teresa type, which was like the caring, which is a facet of you for sure. And that's something that comes naturally to you.
Yeah.
But then people, when they didn't
Oh, my
receive
God,
that because
totally.
you're being a human being and
Totally.
having a moment.
Yeah.
when they don't receive the come into my loving arms and let me hold you, they get shitty.
Yeah.
But that's like because the show creates us as these like sort of one-dimensional beings.
Totally. And then in that touring period where I'm by myself, that's when I started to fucking hate it. Like, I hated it. Like, I was starting to hate myself. What I'd found was the man in me.
Yeah.
And now here I was, the expectation, it kind of threw me back into those early 20s where it was like, you're not good enough to be a man. I only want you as a woman. Yeah. And then I lost the ability to kind of regulate that within my brain because I was just like, is this how people see me? Is this how they would love me? And that's... And I suppose that's really the theme for my life, I guess, is like I've always been unlucky in love. I was adopted, you know. This was like, it's kind of been a sequence of my life or the story of my life, I guess. Yeah. So then you start to like receive the love like we did. And then, you know, you start to think, okay, well, is this the only way that people will accept me, you know?
It's a false sense of security.
And it's awful. It's such an awful feeling.
Yeah.
Because you finally get to that. I did so much kind of work, I guess, or growth to get to that place to feel the man, to feel my own masculinity, to own it, to then like be thrust into this. But I don't want it to sound like I'm fucking ungrateful because I'm totally not. I'm super grateful. But there is a line. There's a man and a woman. Yeah. There's a man and a woman living inside of me. And the thing is that they conjoin, but they are also separate.
Yeah.
So I think that's when I say about loss, like... I lost that part of me again, but lately, thank fuck, the island actually changed that for me, of having that time away in a very different realm.
Yeah. With different people.
Who have the most extraordinary stories. Really was was that opening of discovering that was what my problem was.
Yeah. Yeah, because we do get like bogged down in that depths of all this, like the noise of people wanting, you know, because we do get celebrated, I suppose, to a degree, or we get extremely hated on.
Either or.
And, you know, it comes in waves.
Yeah.
But you do have to kind of accept that it's, you've put to bed a chapter of your life.
The chapter closes.
And you've lost
and a new one opens.
What that was.
Totally. And it's anybody in performance, really.
Yeah.
It's not, you don't have to be in our... We're not even people. Do you know what I mean? We're just fucking drag queens. But
we're just... drag queens aren't people. You've heard it here first, everyone.
Drag queens are not people. But you know what I mean? Like, it's any person who kind of chooses the arts as...
Where do we love it?
In the arts. But you know what? Like, it's anybody who lives that traveling life. It's super hard, and then you have to, like, you know, like I say, I haven't found love. Like, I'd love to find a relationship, but it's also, I'm not in a place to be able to give them the full commitment that it's a necessity of building those relationships, and it's not fair to them either, you know. And I get it, so it just kind of puts you in that weird.
You need to have
space.
A lover in each port.
I mean, look, I've tried, but some of them are just fuckwits. So, and I mean, when people send you sex toys as like products, I mean, I'm pretty good.
Have you got a sex toy thing?
Yeah. Well, no. They just send me products, and then I'm like, oh, okay, great, new experience for the next couple of months.
Are they good?
So Vush sent me, it's like a vibrating masturbator thing. I tell you, bitch, it was like epic. Like, I was like...
Was that epic?
It was epic.
Oh, it was epic.
Is
it like a silicone thing with like...
No. It's just like, it's only about that big.
Oh.
And then it's like a half circle, and then it has all these different, like, super powerful though, super powerful. And then you just kind of do your thing. But I tell you what, like, it was great for like edging.
Oh,
like you
hours.
Hours.
I don't like edging.
Why? Because you just like to blow.
Just get it done.
Yeah.
I know, but that's I don't know. Sometimes I just want to get it done. You know, I'm a busy woman.
The gal on the go. My McDonald's order is on its way.
Oh, actually, speaking of, like, I know we've got to quickly transgress, but, like, do you feel like it's essential to have a wank before you get into drag?
Oh, no, that's a you thing.
Is that?
Yeah, it's a you thing.
Because I've always got told, like, I got told when I first started that, you know, it's easy to tuck.
I mean, it's probably true. It's probably true.
But now I don't tuck, but I still do it because it's a habit. 14 years.
We just smush it in.
Yeah, I just
it's the smush and
or
mush.
I wear a skirt.
Yeah. It's the smush and mush.
It's
Do you
the
know what I
smush
mean?
and mush,
It's the
but
smush
yeah.
and mush. I'd be too exhausted. I'd pass out. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't be fucked to paint. You know
Well,
what I mean?
there was that night when we were in Barwon Heads, wasn't it? The man in the car.
Oh my God,
the
yes, totally. I
She
fucked
was
him in
up
the
and-
car
yeah,
outside. It was so
she
fun.
was like, we wanted to make sure because she kept her hair on.
That's right, yeah.
And if you know what that means,
Yeah.
you know what that means.
You know what I mean?
And she she goes, I'm getting a root. And we're like, okay, where are you
Okay,
going?
great.
So I'm getting in his car and we're just going to sit out the back in the driveway.
Yeah,
and we're
totally.
like,
Because
okay.
I was like, I'm one of those people. It's like, I don't know if you're the same, but like, if there's people in the other rooms, I just can't. I can't let go.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm very conscious of like, you're going to hear me. And I don't want to hear my fucking friends have sex. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't.
Well, you have.
I mean, I have, but it wasn't by choice, bitch.
All right, my friends, we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to come back and we're going to accept our losses.
Bombas makes the most comfortable socks, underwear, and T-shirts.
Warning, Bombas are so absurdly comfortable you may throw out all your other clothes.
Sorry, do we legally have to say that?
No, this is just how I talk, and I really love my Bombas.
They do feel that good. And they do good, too. One item purchased equals one item donated.
To feel good and do good, go to bombas.com/Wondery and use code WONDERY for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/Wondery and use code WONDERY at checkout.
Getting the smile and confidence you've been dreaming about, all from the comfort of your home, isn't a total mystery with Byte clear aligners. Just don't be surprised if all your friends start asking, "What's your secret?" Begin by ordering your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95. Byte clear aligners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces, plus they offer flexible financing, accept eligible insurance, and you can pay with your HSA FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
Welcome back, everybody, to What's Lost Got to Do with It. I am still here with my gorgeous sister, Spankie Mother Tucker, in the house tonight. I love that they changed it from Spankie Motherfucker to Spankie Mother Tucker. The
I mean,
PG
that was
version.
really
It's
like
more
Michelle.
palatable,
Like,
like-
she was like, no, think of the children. And I was like, fuck the children. You know
I
what I mean?
believe
Like,
the children are the future.
No, fuck the children. But
Like when
I
you-
actually don't mind it.
No, I like
it's
it. It
stuck
works.
now.
Yeah.
It's stuck.
It's,
you can't get rid of it. People do that to me all the
Yeah.
time. Hey,
Spankie Mother Tucker.
Spankie, no, it's Spankie Mother Tucker.
in
It
the
doesn't
house
matter
and
where we go.
That was so catchy.
It's so catchy. All of ours are catchy.
Yeah, we're like little hands in the room.
I love it.
You know what? I really loved Queen's verse on her.
Oh, it was so good. On Global
Global
All Stars.
Global All Stars.
Global All Stars.
She's fucking killing it.
She's fucking smashing in the
I'm
dick.
so proud of her.
It reminds me like we're gonna like start like twerking behind her. I mean, we look like two white girls behind her.
Well, we
but it's
do.
fine.
We are
I
two
mean,
white
we are,
girls
but
behind her.
She brings all the rhythm and the flavor,
Did
and
you
we're
notice
just
when
back
you
here
watched
with
it?
our
Did you
fucking
see
salt
some
and
of the
pepper.
choreography that we've done?
Oh my god, I cracked
was
up the most.
dying.
I cracked up the most. I was like,
yeah.
the arm. I was like, oh, bitch, that's
We've
our
done this,
choreo.
and then-
Yeah. Oh, I know. I was like, oh my god, this is. Oh my god, that
For
was
those
so
of you
my
listening,
favorite.
I'm sorry we were dancing.
Yeah, we were dancing.
I forget that because we're being filmed and we're also talking.
Yeah.
So I forget that you can't always see.
I know.
You know, you can't see with
You
your
can
ears.
just hear taffeta.
You can put that in my book. I think I'm going to write a book.
Okay,
of
good.
wisdom.
What's it going to be called? Oh, wisdom.
Wisdom books.
Oh,
a
God.
book of my wise quotes. Like, laughter is the same in every language. Genius.
That's deep.
That
That's
is
deep.
deep.
That's almost as deep
And
as
now
fisting.
I'm going to go.
You know.
You can't see with your ears.
Do you know what, guys? You heard it here first.
You can't see with your ears.
Can't see with your ears. No, you can't.
And you can't learn with your mouth open.
Well, that's not true.
No.
You could learn new things and new flavors.
Gobble and cock.
Cock gobblers.
Gobble, gobble.
Gobble, gobble.
Gobble, gobble, gobble. Okay, so, no, we're gonna get back in the room now. I'm talking
know.
about now. We're thinking about just cock.
Yeah.
which is really inappropriate.
I know.
Yeah. Okay, so here at What's Lost Got to Do with It, you spoke about you lost an idea of yourself and
Yeah.
a part of you
Yeah.
after the drag race experience, and then you said hello to a new way.
Yeah.
So I think I think you've done most of the work in accepting the loss, but I think
totally.
it's important before we finish today that you accept the loss, and I want you to tell the people at home how you came to that acceptance. And we'll give you a certificate of acceptance.
Oh, I
of
love that.
self-loss. And it means that you've been through the course.
Oh, I love that. I love the 2-step
Yeah.
program.
Well, it's important because
it is.
I think the biggest part of
The
loss
third
and
step is
grieving-
alcohol.
Correct. But yeah, I think a big part of loss is being able to accept it.
Oh, 100%.
And whether or not you are willing,
Yeah.
or willing or in a place to accept it. And I
No.
feel you are. So
No, I have. I think we all go through that process. I don't know whether it's just a drag race thing or whether it's if you're just working a normal job, you kind of don't face that. But because you've got like an outside eye, it's kind of thrown back at you and you kind of have to address it. And then you think, why does that make me feel a certain way? Or why do I feel ill about that? Like, why do I feel less than or whatever? But it took me a while. But it's also the willingness of understanding or trying to understand, like, well, asking yourself the questions. Like, why do I feel like that? Like, and then you kind of, but I've always been a person of reflection.
yeah.
I love just sitting there and I'll be thinking in my head. I've always got an active brain in that
Do you
way.
meditate?
No, I don't. I levitate, but only on dick. Actually, I probably squashed the cunt at the moment, but anyway. But you know what I mean? Like, it took me a little while to kind of understand why I was starting to feel it, because I was like, why do I hate this so much? Like, I'm so grateful for everything that's happened, but it's because I had found the man that I had never felt before. So the acceptance is there where it's like, okay, great. We're in it. The chapter has closed. The 20s have closed. The 30s are about to close. I'm at 40. And I think it's also part of that looking for a husband relationship as well. It's like, I think we as drag queens are always seen as less of a man.
Yeah.
Because of what we do. And it's like, I'm not a woman. Like, I wake up with panda eyes.
Yeah.
But, but at the same time, it's like, I'm not. And the person that I want to find me like that is to see the man under the makeup at all times. So it was just kind of finding that, but I'm happy. I feel great about going into my 40s, to be fair.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in a really good place to become even more of the man that I am.
And kick it in the dick.
Well, I'm about to get grey pubes and fucking, hair coming out of fucking holes that never happened before. But that's the acceptance of it, and we grow and we change and we learn and we evolve and sometimes we regress and sometimes we learn from the regression, and I'm at that point. So I will accept my certificate and I will have my free beveragino on the way out. Thank you. Does it come with a coupon?
Oh, yeah. Yes, bitch.
Free Wendy's ice cream.
For a private show with me.
Oh, I love it. A paprika fry.
A paprika fry. But you're gonna, you know what? You're kicking it in the dick, Spankie
thanks,
Jackzon,
boo.
as we
You
said.
are too.
We're kicking it in the dick.
Kicking it in the fucking dick. Like, we are all kicking it in the dick. Like, I'm so proud of, like, what we have achieved and how this experience brought us all together.
Yeah.
And the gift that it actually gave me in my life was having two of the most incredible sisters. You know, like, we've had so much fun.
I know, you love me and Molly.
I do. We've
Just jokes, it's Kween.
No,
She's
it's
talking about Kween.
It's our queen. But, like, it's the most incredible gift to have the two of you in my life.
It's real love. I would love you to stay for Healing Hands.
I love that.
Okay, great.
I would love
All
to
right,
stay for
Spankie's
Healing
gonna stay
Hands.
for Healing Hands. So we'll be back after this. Welcome back, everyone. It's time for Healing Hands, a segment in which I go onto Instagram. I say, would you like advice? Post it in this box. And they send in some, things that they want advice on.
Great.
And I use my best healing hands because I've done my certificate one in Reiki. My parents got that for me.
Love that.
So I'm a qualified healer. Here we go. We're going to dive in. This question comes in from a drag sister of ours,
great.
Tia Coffee. She says,
stunning.
I have this friend who often dresses as Liza Minnelli for fun. I'm really concerned for her well-being. Advice.
Well, the advice is just lap it up, bitch. Okay? Lap it up. Can't control her. Just lap it up.
I would say that, you know what? Just check in on your friend every now and then because they are broken.
Yeah.
And they are not well.
Totally.
But also they are trying to commodify on their existence in this world.
I think it's camp. Like, I think it's so funny.
Well, hey, if I can just dress
I
up
dress
as
as
an
a
80-year-old...
Christmas tree. Hello.
True.
Come on.
We're both unwell.
Like, we're all unwell.
Oh, here's a good one.
Okay.
How do I get motivation for the things I want to do? So that get up and
Oh,
go.
that's a hard
deep.
question. Well, the thing with motivation is it comes from within, and there has to be a willingness to like want to do it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think,
And motivation is not always there, but you still do it anyway.
Yeah, I think there is a definite element of having to force yourself to do stuff.
Yeah, totally.
Because,
and forcing yourself out of your comfort zone too.
Yes. And I have to say, I feel like it's important that a little bit, I don't want to be this girl. But ever since I've started exercising, I've found more motivation in the day.
What, like for the 5 times?
I've been going for about 4 weeks now.
Oh, well.
Is that wild? But yeah, I think like adding a little bit of physical movement.
No, it does.
And getting yourself outside into the sun and stuff. It
but
does
environment
make a difference.
too. You know, it's like clean your house.
Oh, yes.
Like this is such a simple one I say to people. It's like I often think that your environment affects your life
and your mood.
If your house is messy, and there's nothing wrong with being a messy person.
Not it can
be but it can be controlled chaos. You know what I mean? Like there are people who live like that.
Yeah.
But then you get to the people who it's clearly showing a sign of depression.
Yeah.
You know, where it's like clean the house, open the windows, get some fresh air in, light a fucking candle.
Yeah.
You know, like do things, put on some nice music that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Little things like that can really like change your mood. And yet, look, we all get down, we all get depressed and things like that, but there are simple fixes. You know what they are, just do them.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
10
out of 10. Well, I hope that advice helps you. Keep an eye out if I post another story, if you would like advice from me. Well, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of What's Lost Got to Do With It. Thank you, Spankie Jackzon, for being here.
Thanks.
It has
I
been a
wouldn't miss it
dream.
for the world.
I love you to bits.
I love you too.
You're an angel sent from heaven.
Oh, hardly. I was sent from hell, but...
And we're going to go back.
And there's a
it's gonna be
crucifix in
party.
it. Yeah.
But we love you. Thank you, listeners. We'll see you very soon for another episode of What's Lost Got to Do With It. Thank you, everyone. Love you. Bye.
Bye. What's lost got to do?
Got to do with it.